Some shadows hold whispers of untold power. Elena stepped lightly through the underbrush, heart pounding. The chill of the forest air wrapped around her like an unwelcome cloak. At 22, she was an outcast in the kingdom of Virar, ruled by fear and desperation. Her ghostly white hair and shimmering skin set her apart, an embodiment of something ancient and misunderstood. Villagers often whispered about her, branding her a witch, an omen of disaster. They turned their backs to her. Callousness cut deeper than any blade, but the whispers didn't frighten her. They only fueled her resolve. In this sacred space, she found solace among the ancient trees, her steadfast companions in a world that felt foreign. Each pulse of her heart matched the rhythm of nature, urging her to accept the call of the wild. These woods were teeming with life, and, more importantly, with healing herbs, each plant a lifeline woven into the tapestry of her existence. She moved seamlessly through the underbrush, collecting roots and leaves, trusting in the gifts the earth offered. Yet tonight was different. Tonight, the air felt denser, charged with a dark electricity that made her skin prickle. A sickness swept through the kingdom like wildfire, ravaging the people with plague and famine. The very trees seemed to shudder, their leaves trembling with anguish. Whispers of a hidden prophecy curled through the winds, tales of an Omega who could wield the power to restore a fractured realm. Could she, a mere servant of the forest, really be that Omega? The thought sent a thrill and terror racing through her. She was no stranger to bearing burdens alone. Loneliness clung to her, a shadow that danced at her heels. She often found herself on the forest's outskirts, where the human world ended and the magic began. But as the cool night deepened, a sense of despair pressed down upon her chest. Sometimes Elena doubted her gifts, questioned if a creature like her could ever ignite hope in a kingdom so broken. Then there was Gareth, the Lichen King. At 350 years old, Gareth was a figure of imposing strength, forged and hardened by time and struggle. Gaze sharp, features carved from granite, he ruled a realm teetering on the edge of hopelessness. His presence commanded fear, respect, and a strange kind of loneliness. The castle loomed over the land, a beacon of power, but also an anchor of his isolation. Shadowed whispers twisted through the streets below, finding their way into his ears, tainting his trust. An advisor he had once considered loyal had weaved tales of deceit, feeding him doubts that took root in the soil of his mind. Each sunrise felt like a reminder of the sacrifices he had made, the burdens he bore. The prophecy whispered persistently, shadowy and taunting. An Omega capable of wielding power to restore balance. Could such a fragile creature be the key to either salvation or his downfall? Gareth stood at the precipice of uncertainty, grappling with his responsibilities as a king while his heart simmered with the longing for something real, something true. As night enveloped the kingdom, the chilling air thickened with an electric tension, and Gareth felt it deep within his soul. He cast a glance toward the moon, which hung high, a silvery sentinel watching his every move. Was it an omen, a promise, or merely a distant light among the encroaching shadows? In that moment, fate began to tighten its grip, weaving their paths together in a dance neither could have anticipated. Elena stirred in her secluded haven, envisioning her world shifting as Gareth wrestled with doubts that clawed at his heart. The shadows would soon intertwine, forcing both into a fateful collision that could change everything. What lay ahead? Would they find the strength to resist the darkness encroaching, or would they surrender to the shadows that sought to consume their worlds? The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow that faded into the twilight. The remnants of a cruel day lingered like ghosts, each moment echoing the struggles of those who inhabited this kingdom. Elena had been a servant her entire adult life. Orphaned at 16, she lost her parents in a fire, a tragedy that left her without family, without a home. She had wandered through the ashes of her past until fate led her to Castle Virar. Starting in the laundry as a scullery maid, she had fought against the relentless tide, each day an exhausting battle for survival. The work was brutal, the heat suffocating, yet it was better than the streets. Through sheer perseverance, she clawed her way up from the depths of despair. Now she worked in the kitchens, a small triumph in her otherwise dismal existence. Occasionally, when the castle required an extra pair of hands, she served at banquets, ever careful to remain invisible among the nobles who reveled in their wealth. Those fleeting moments meant the world to her. She often listened to the stories shared in the grand halls, the whispers of nobility mingling with the echoes of laughter. Each tale was a window into a life she could never have. It made her heart ache, but she buried the pain. Instead, she focused on the herbs she cultivated in the castle gardens. They flourished there, just like her spirit deep within. Each blossom symbolized a link to her lost family, and her dreams of restoring the kingdom began to converge with a fierce sense of duty. But it wasn't just survival that drove her. Whispers had reached her ears about the prophecy, the Omega that could wield power. Could she be the answer to the kingdom's prayers? Did the ancient stories hold a grain of truth? The thought both terrified and thrilled her. Here she was, a mere servant, thrust into a role of unimaginable importance. The weight felt almost unbearable, like a crown of thorns resting on her brow. Away from the kitchens, in the shadows of the castle walls, Gareth too carried burdens that twisted and gnarled his heart. In his lifetime, he had endured centuries of solitude, marked by loss. What few bonds he formed had been severed by treachery. The court was rife with ambition, a minefield where trust had no place. Despite the power he wielded, Gareth felt hollow. Every laugh that echoed in the halls reminded him of the loneliness that enveloped him like a fog. Each day he pondered the prophecy that spoke of an Omega, fragile yet powerful. The Council of Elders urged him to seek out this being, to embrace the potential for change. But Gareth struggled with it. Could he take such a risk? The mere thought of allowing another into his heart, to place the fate of the kingdom in someone else's hands, sparked anxiety he couldn't shake. Dangers loomed everywhere. Rumors suggested that the sickness ravaging the kingdom was not just a byproduct of famine, but something far more sinister, an unseen enemy working against him. As Gareth pored over scrolls and historical accounts, pieces of the puzzle remained frustratingly out of reach. Yet, deep in his soul, he felt the truth emerging like a phantom from the shadows. That evening, a sense of urgency gripped him. The council convened, members gathering under flickering torchlight, their faces cloaked in suspicion and rivalry. He entered the grand hall, their discussions hushed by his presence. Gareth took to the front, pouring forth his concerns. The omens grow darker by the day. Our people suffer, and whispers of betrayal taint the air. We must seek the Omega. Murmurs erupted, a cacophony of dissent and disbelief. An elder, cloaked in the finery of past triumphs, glared at him. "You speak of myth, King Gareth. This Omega is a fairy tale, nothing more. We must tackle the diseases afflicting our kingdom, not chase ghosts." His heart raced, frustration boiling over. But what if the stories are true? What if this Omega holds the key to restoring our realm? "Enough," another elder barked, slamming a fist on the table. "What of your own heart? Would you risk the realm for a chance at salvation from some unheard fairy?" Gareth straightened, desperation threading through his voice. "If it means salvation, then yes. I would risk everything." The council's reaction was immediate. Divided, heated arguments ensued. In that chaotic moment, Gareth could sense the weight of fate pressing upon him, pushing him to seek this Omega, to journey beyond the confines of the castle walls. Little did he know, in the dense forest where Elena gathered herbs, destiny began to intertwine their lives like threads through a tapestry. As darkness fell across the land, both Gareth and Elena played their roles in a script written by time itself. Was the prophecy real or just a ghost lurking in the shadows? Would they take the leap, face the unknown together, or allow the weight of their burdens to crush their spirits utterly? The moon hung high, a ghostly sentinel in the velvet sky, illuminating the path that both Gareth and Elena would soon tread. Across the kingdom, tension simmered beneath the surface, a simmering pot threatening to boil over. Elena felt it most keenly as she finished her tasks in the dimly lit kitchens. Her hands were calloused from years of toil, yet she found comfort in routine. As she put away the last of the herbs she had gathered, her mind spun with thoughts of the prophecy. Was it truly possible she could be destined for something greater? Could she be the Omega the kingdom so desperately needed? The whispers among the servants had grown louder each day, tales of the king's frustration, of sickness spreading across the land, and talk of legends that stirred remnants of hope. Each story seemed to weave into the next, igniting sparks of defiance in her heart. But in the shadows was fear, fear of the unknown, fear of what such power could demand from her. As she stepped outside, the cool breeze wrapped around her, a balm against the heat of the kitchen. The forest beckoned her, a familiar sanctuary where the chaos of court life faded into the soothing rustle of leaves. She wandered deeper into the woods, allowing herself to breathe, to ponder. Unbeknownst to her, Gareth too was driven by a force he couldn't quite place, urging him to seek answers beyond the castle walls. The council had dismissed his words, yet the weight of their ignorance pressed upon him like a looming storm. A spark of rebellion flickered within him. He would not simply wait for the sickness to consume what little remained of his kingdom. He had to act, had to confront the very uncertainty that haunted him. Under the pretense of a late-night ride to clear his mind, Gareth mounted his steed, the powerful animal sensing its master's tumultuous thoughts. As the forest appeared before him, a dark silhouette of intricate branches and shadows, something within him stirred. Hope battled with despair as he moved deeper into the woods, drawn by an unease he didn't understand. The sense of damp earth and wildflowers filled the air. The intoxicating aroma mingled with fear and anticipation. He could feel it. Something was shifting. As he pressed on, he caught an unexpected scent, delicate yet inviting. Honeysuckle mixed with the faintest hint of rain, an ethereal presence that urged him forward. What was that? A lichen's instincts flared, a primal recognition igniting deep within. He dismounted, following the scent, ears straining for any hint of movement. The trees danced with the wind, an audience to this unfolding drama. Elena knelt beside a patch of moonlit tulips when she suddenly froze. Her instincts screamed, the air charged with anticipation. She turned slightly, feeling the presence approach, a sensation more intense than dread. It was yearning. It was recognition. Gareth emerged from the shadows, his intentions wrapped in the kind of longing only a creature aware of its fate could understand. Their eyes met across the distance, a charged moment suspended in time, the world around them fading into obscurity. "Who are you?" she whispered, voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. He took a step forward, the moon casting silver light upon his powerful form. "I'm Gareth, the king. I seek answers." I felt. His voice trailed off, thick with emotion. I felt a pull, a connection. A connection? Elena's heart raced. The tales of the Omega, the fragile girl meant to restore balance, throbbed in the back of her mind. Was she truly that person? "You felt wrong. I'm just a servant," she stammered, anxiety tightening around her throat. No, you're more than that. It's here, isn't it?" He closed the distance, brushing his fingers against a flower beside her, reverence washing over him. The scent enveloped him, soothing his turmoil yet igniting desire. "Can you tell me what it is?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper as fear and confusion wrestled within. Gareth inhaled deeply, grounding himself in this moment. "Legend speaks of an Omega, the one who can wield power to remedy what has been lost." In that moment, the shadows of their former lives faded, leaving only this encounter, raw and profound. Elena's heart ached. "But I'm no king. I'm no warrior." Still, doubts flickered like candle flames within her. "What can I do?" "We can discover that together." His eyes shone with conviction, a mixture of desperation and determination sparkling within. "I need your help. With you, we can face the darkness looming over our kingdom." She trembled. Could she truly step into this role? Could she trust fate to guide her? The questions flooded her mind as shadows whispered around them. Gareth reached for her, hand outstretched, the rawness of his voice breaking through the barriers constructing her fears. "I've waited too long for a moment like this." Elena hesitated, apprehensive yet drawn to the promise of hope. "And if I fail? Then we will fight together," he pledged, sincerity radiating from him. "But you must take a step forward. Tonight is about more than kingdoms. It's about ensuring survival." The world held its breath as she reached for him, fingers brushing against his. The moment hung heavily, and with her heart racing, she felt the weight of their fates intertwining, a merging of paths that could either bring light or deepen the shadows. In that place between uncertainty and belief, an undeniable bond forged itself, linking them in a way neither had anticipated. Would they stand united against the darkness? Would they discover strength in each other? Or would doubt tear them apart? The forest held its breath, the cool night air wrapping around them as they stood together, hearts racing, uncertainty swirling like the wind among the trees. Gareth tightened his grip around Elena's hand, the contact electrifying, igniting life within the shadows that had long consumed them both. "Come with me," he urged, voice low and steady. "We need to get away from here." She nodded, drawn into the orbit of his determination, and together they moved, deeper into the heart of the woods. The branches arched overhead, a canopy providing both refuge and a sense of the world closing in around them. Fear still quivered at the edges of her mind, but the warmth of his palm stifled its spread. As they walked, Gareth shared tales of the kingdom's woes, the plague that swept through the villages like a specter. He spoke of the despair etched into every face, the hollow eyes of the people. "They think there's no hope left," he said, frustration slicing through his voice. "Some do not even believe the prophecy exists. They think I've lost my way." Elena felt a stirring within her. "But you haven't lost hope," she replied, mustering courage she didn't know she had. "You're searching for me." He glanced at her, a hint of surprise crossing his features. "You really believe it's you?" "It has to be me," she whispered, voice trembling. It's all I have left." Silence enveloped them for a moment, the weight of their shared fears saturating the air. Then Gareth stopped, turning to face her fully. "Then we will make them believe," he resolved, a fierce light igniting in his eyes. "We are stronger together, two souls bound by fate, defying the darkness." Elena felt a flush of warmth creep up her cheeks, the power of his words wrapping around her like a protective armor. "Together," she echoed, and with that confirmation came another realization. She was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The next several weeks became a blur of wild adventure and nightly meetings beneath the stars. They trained in secret, Gareth teaching her to harness the energy that surged within her, a power she hadn't known existed. It flowed through her veins, an ancient magic that harmonized with the earth. "Feel it, Elena," Gareth would say, guiding her movements. "Let it ignite. You are not alone. With each breath, picture the energy wrapping around you, drawing strength from the depths of the earth and the roots of these trees." Each night, under the watchful gaze of the moon, she found herself attuning to the whispers of the land, her connection to nature deepening. The magic was breathtaking, invigorating. At times, she sensed it rising, thrumming in time with her heart, as if the forest itself was answering her cries. But with each advancement came danger. Rumors of their secret meetings began to slither through the kingdom, whispers of betrayal, fear of the unknown. It was only a matter of time before the shadows converged upon them. One fateful evening, while practicing at the fringe of the forest, they were ambushed. Shadows twisted into forms that lunged from the underbrush, dark figures clad in black, the air crackling with menace. Gareth stood before Elena, his body tense as he faced the onslaught. "Stay back," he roared, teeth bared, an impressive display of power. "You dare threaten my mate?" Elena's heart pounded as time slowed, cold dread seeping through her. She had barely begun to explore her abilities. Could she truly stand alongside him? The figures closed in, faces obscured, eyes glowing with malevolence, their intentions clear. "Gareth!" she cried, fear spilling over as she witnessed him launch himself into the fray. He fought with the ferocity of a true king, skilled and fierce, but the numbers were stacked against him. He was one against several. "No!" She could feel the swell of magic deep within her, a spark igniting into flame. Drawing upon that connection she had nurtured, she instinctively began to channel the energy coursing through her, reaching out. "Let it go!" Gareth shouted, desperation flooding his voice as he dodged another blow. "Use it!" Suddenly, the earth trembled beneath her as she extended her hand. Rooted vines erupted from the ground, snaking toward the assailants, catching them off guard. "Feel it!" Gareth urged, a primal roar escaping him as he turned a scuffle in his favor. You're meant for this. Elena let out a sound somewhere between a gasp and a shout, summoning forth the power of the forest. The roots tightened, radiating energy that coursed across the battlefield. She saw the dark figures falter, their confidence replaced by fear as they clawed to escape the grip of nature. With a final surge of will, she released the vines, sending the assailants crashing to the ground. Fatigue swept over her, and she stumbled back, breath ragged. Together! Gareth roared, his voice filled with triumph. They stood back to back, unwavering against the chaos that had unfolded. Daring to glance at each other, their eyes spoke volumes, unified and resilient. In that pivotal moment, Elena realized they were not just fighting for their lives. They were fighting for a future, a bond cemented through shadows and light. But all was not over. The remaining shadows retreated into the depths of the forest, vile promises hanging in the air. The kingdom was still shrouded in darkness, and they were only beginning to realize the extent of the forces at play. What was that? She gasped, still trembling. I don't know yet, Gareth replied reassuringly, but we face it together. They turned, making their way back to the castle, hearts bouncing in tandem with hope and anxiety. With every step, the weight of their roles settled upon them, a mantle neither had expected to don. In this fight, we can't be divided, Gareth said, voice resolute. We have to train to harness your gifts. They sensed something tonight, a connection we cannot allow to be severed. Elena nodded, determination hardening within her. She would not shy away from her fate. I won't back down. I want to learn. As they walked under the moonlight, a flicker of understanding blossomed between them. They were bound by a force stronger than any fear, an unbreakable tether that defied even the darkest of shadows. Days turned into a whirlwind of training and shared secrets. They whispered beneath the stars and exchanged stories that knit their souls closer. With each passing moment, a deeper connection grew, teasing the edges of something profound. But with this blossoming strength came the undeniable reality of the world outside. As they faced the darkness together, Elena couldn't help but wonder, would they truly stand united against the inevitable storms, or be torn apart by the very forces they sought to defy? Each day was a step closer to everything or nothing. The dawn broke with muted colors, a delicate blending of orange and gray stretching across the horizon, casting a gentle light upon the castle walls. For Elena, the day felt poised on the edge of something monumental. Yet beneath the surface lay a torrent of unresolved fears, a gnawing self-doubt that clawed at her heart. They faced the castle courtyard where branches intertwined like ancient sentinels, their shadows concealing unfathomable dangers. Training intensified as Gareth pushed her limits, guiding her through exercises that tested her newfound powers. But a nagging weight settled in the pit of her stomach, heavier than mere apprehension. What if I'm not strong enough? She asked, her voice breaking the silence, echoing against the cold stone of the castle. What if this darkness is more than I can handle? Gareth stopped, turning to face her. His gaze burned with intensity, mixing fierce determination with a flicker of understanding. Elena, you are stronger than you think, he reassured her. We're facing something that threatens to consume everything we know. I'm not asking you to fight it alone. I will be right beside you. An anchor. The word resonated deep within her, instilling strength she didn't know she possessed. But just as the thought settled, a sudden tremor raced through the ground beneath their feet, a warning that rippled through the very fabric of their existence. Did you feel that? She asked, panic creeping into her voice. Gareth nodded, his expression tense. Stay close. We need to... Before he could finish, a piercing scream filled the air, slicing through the dawn like a knife. It came from the castle, a sound laced with terror, echoing familiar dread that sent a chill racing down her spine. Let's go! Gareth grabbed her hand tightly, pulling her toward the source, adrenaline igniting their flight. They raced inside, hearts pounding to the rhythm of escalating chaos. The hallways were alive with panic. Servants and soldiers rushed past them, eyes wide with fear. Something terrible had invaded their sanctuary. A sense of urgency propelled them forward, bursting into the main chamber where the council convened. Dark figures loomed like specters, their presence casting a pall of dread over the assembled council. Gareth pushed through the confusion, shielding Elena, his voice slicing through the noise. "Stand down!" he called out, demanding attention. But the room was in uproar. The council members were shouting accusations, their fear muddling reason. "Your Highness, we must prepare for battle!" an elder exclaimed, the lines on his face deepening with terror. "Prepare for what?" Gareth demanded, voice resolute. "These aren't just enemies. They are shadows bent on chaos. We must unite, not divide." The tension swelled like a storm cloud, and chaos spiraled, a manifestation of the fear gripping the kingdom. Elena took a step forward, heart pounding, emboldened by Gareth's unwavering strength. "We are not outnumbered," she declared, her voice rising above the cacophony. "If we unite, we can turn the tide." Murmurs rippled through the council, hesitant eyes turning toward her. "What can a servant girl offer?" A skeptical voice cut through the room, riddled with disdain. Elena straightened, summoning every ounce of courage she could muster, resting her gaze on Gareth, grounding herself in his support. "I am not just a servant. I am the Omega, the one who can wield the power to repel the darkness." The room fell silent, her words hanging like heavy clouds pregnant with rain, filled with the tension of unspoken truths. Gareth stepped closer, fierce protectiveness emanating from him. "She speaks the truth. We need to teach her to harness her abilities. Only then can we confront the true enemy." "The warriors are afraid," another council member interjected, eyes darting nervously. "Training will take time. What if it's too late by then?" "Too late?" Gareth's voice rose, sharp as a sword. "If we lose this battle, we lose everything. Are you with me?" His imperious command rallied the soldiers lined against the walls, their hearts igniting with a flicker of hope. Elena stepped forward again, her pulse racing as she stared into the eyes of the council members, the resolve in her spirit growing bolder. "You have seen the truth. What lies ahead awaits all of us. Trust in me and trust in Gareth. Together, we can fight against this threat." Curiosity gradually replaced skepticism, their hearts heavy with uncertainty, but treading on the edge of belief. "Prepare for what we must fight against. We'll rally the villagers. Our future depends on our unity." Lara, a member known for her fierce loyalty, stood up, brow furrowed, determination lighting her features. Elena felt the air shift, an undeniable bond forming as realization swept through the assembly. For the first time they understood. Hope could illuminate even the deepest shadows. Gareth placed a guiding hand on Elena's shoulder, grounding her amidst the chaos. "We must prepare for combat immediately. Gather our warriors. We will train together." The council sprang into action, urgency dissolving their doubts, and commands pierced the murmur of fear like arrows flying straight. "Stay by my side, Elena," Gareth said, voice both fervent and protective, his fierce resolve. "We can do this together." Elena exchanged a fiery look with him, their unspoken bond reaffirming itself in that moment. They were not merely fighting against shadows, they were chasing after a brighter future, reclaiming their power. As soldiers rallied around them, some still tentative but most emboldened, Elena felt strength pooling within her, the magic thrumming at her fingertips, begging to be unleashed. With Gareth's guidance, she would not falter. She would stand resilient. "Train hard," Gareth directed them, eyes blazing with intensity. "We must awaken the light within us before the darkness descends." Elena felt the hum of magic, a current of energy swirling through her veins, mingling with the resolve of her comrades. In that charged atmosphere, Elena's heart soared, weaving strands of hope between them all, a woven fabric of strength and fate. They were in this together. As the warriors prepared for battle, the truth surged within her. They would face the encroaching shadows united, not as soldiers, but as a family. Bold and unyielding, they would push back against the darkness. Would they prevail as one body, locking arms against the fight ahead? Would they stand side by side against the gathering storm? And as the warriors filled the hall, a solemn vow hung over them all. Together, they could rewrite their destiny. The moon hung low, casting a silver glow over the assembly as night enveloped them, each warrior standing with a fierce gleam in their eyes. The air vibrated with anticipation and trepidation, pregnant with the weight of what was to come. Elena stood shoulder to shoulder with Gareth, heart racing as they prepared to face their fears. "What's our plan?" she asked, drawing strength from his presence. "We strike tonight," Gareth replied, determination etched across his face. "The shadows think they can catch us off guard, but they won't. Together, we will reclaim our kingdom," Elena echoed, feeling a surge of energy rush through her as hope ignited in her chest. As darkness wrapped around the castle, the warriors gathered in the courtyard, exchanging anxious glances. They were no longer just soldiers. They were a family bonded by pain and purpose. "Listen," Gareth's voice rose above the murmurs. "Tonight, we fight not just for survival, but for hope. We need to harness our strength. Together!" Elena shouted, emboldened by his fervor. The soldiers responded with a roar, hearts ignited by solidarity. As they ventured into the woods, shadows flickered around them, but Elena clung to the power within her, feeling nature's magic stir in response. "We are the light," she declared, gathering her courage as they pressed forward. Then, from the underbrush, a dark figure lunged. Instinct kicked in. Vines erupted from the earth, ensnaring the shadow as light surged from Elena's fingertips. "Now!" Gareth commanded, charging into the fray, and the warriors followed, energy crackling in the air around them. The battle erupted, steel clanging against steel. Elena felt adrenaline release, the magic intertwining with the chaos. Each swing of Gareth's sword harmonized with her bursts of light, a beautiful connection against darkness. But the tide soon shifted as more shadows advanced, surrounding them. Panic clawed at her throat. "Gareth!" she cried, fear twisting in her chest. "Stay strong, Elena," he shouted, his fiery gaze locking onto hers. "You are my light. Do not hide." His words resonated deep within, pushing away her doubt. She gathered herself, unleashing a wave of brilliance that surged across the battlefield. Shadows recoiled, defeated by the light that radiated from her. With every pulse of power, hope surged, fueling the determination of those around her. They stood together, back to back, a united front against the encroaching darkness. As the last shadow faded, silence enveloped the forest. The victors stood in disbelief, hearts pounding, aware of what they had accomplished together. Gareth found Elena amidst the chaos, breathless and wide-eyed. "We did it! We won!" Elena collapsed into his embrace, her heart thrumming against his, the weight of the battle easing as exhilaration washed over her. "We did," she breathed, knowing they had not only defended their kingdom, but also forged an unbreakable bond. As dawn began to light the horizon, illuminating the battlefield strewn with remnants of their fight, they gazed at each other. The promise of renewal hung in the air. "Let's rebuild," Gareth murmured, taking her hand, guiding her back toward their warriors. With their spirits revived, they pressed forward, ready to lay a new foundation for the kingdom. They would reignite hope and forge a legacy, a testament to their union against darkness. Together, they had reclaimed not just the land, but their identities, standing tall against whatever challenges lay ahead. If you enjoyed the story of Gareth and Elena, the light that conquered darkness, subscribe for more epic Lycan King romances. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. And remember, hope was born in the shadows. Thank you for listening.